Hey everybody, Hope here, Lean and Green Queen. Tonight I'm making stuffed pepper skillet. So as you see here, that is going to constitute as 1 lean, 3 greens, and 2 condiments. And the yield is actually 5 servings, but I'm doubling it to make 10 servings. So I'm gonna start out by cutting my green peppers just to kind of get them ready to go. And then I'm gonna work on the ground beef. So I'll walk you through the steps, and I hope you have a wonderful time watching. Okay everyone, so the recipe calls for 18 ounces of ground beef. I actually have a little bit more than 36 ounces because it's gotta be cooked and then measured out. So I actually have 97% ground beef, and the leanest that I could find, we actually got it done professionally from an actual cow we had slaughtered. So this is as fresh as you can get, minus the moo. And I'm cooking it down. I added just a smidge of olive oil, not even a tablespoon. And I'm waiting for my burner to get kind of hot so that I can start cooking it. It's not getting warm. So I get to play with it for a minute and get it warm. And once it gets warm and I start adding some garlic to it, then I'm going to actually add the green onions that you hopefully see cut over here, and the bell peppers that are right here. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so we hit a bit of a snafu. So my big burner went out and I had to use a smaller pan and my smaller burner. So I have decided to put it in a casserole dish. It is called a skillet, but we can also do it as a casserole. And I'm going to bake this together to meld the flavors and add everything that I would have normally added in the skillet to here. I did finish finally cooking all of the ground beef. Now I'm just going to lay out everything else that goes in the dish. And I set the temperature in the oven for 375. I'm gonna let these peppers kind of wilt some before I add the rest of the ingredients in. I'm sorry, I'm gonna let the peppers and the green onions that it calls for kind of wilt some so that it can meld in with the flavors. I will add a little bit of olive oil on top, kind of let it cook together, and then I'll add the rest of what the recipe calls for, which are the tomatoes from the can, the cauliflower rice, the Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and add some Zatarain's Creole seasoning because I don't know if you know, but Zatarain's has 0 carbohydrates and it has a little less sodium than if you use something like Tony Chachere's. Check if you use Old Bay seasoning or something like that. Just check your label for sodium content because you definitely don't want to have an extremely high sodium content in your seasoning, because then what's the point of using it? Because despite the fact that it has no carb, it will definitely bloat you. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of this in here. Let the flavors meld together. And as I said, I'll use the rest of this tiny little bit of olive oil and pop it in the oven. I'll be back to show you what I do next. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and brown my cauliflower rice because I don't want it to turn mush when I add it to the stuffed pepper casserole. So the recipe calls for 3 cups, but I'm doubling it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 6 cups of riced cauliflower. And I'm browning it in the skillet. It's gonna kind of give it a woodsy kind of flavor. Okay, so one of these bags is 4 cups. just in case anyone was wondering, of cauliflower. They got a little of aggression, huh? All right, and just half of this bag. And here I was worried that I didn't have enough cauliflower rice. Looks like we got plenty. And then some. And just in case you have a Costco membership, this is a very good deal on the rice cauliflower at Costco. And it lasts quite a while. Like I said, you can kind of take out some aggression on it. All right, so that's 6 cups of riced cauliflower. I did refill my olive oil, so I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit olive oil. This is not even a tablespoon, well, maybe a tablespoon of olive oil in the pan. And I'm gonna let it start to brown. And as it starts to brown, then I'm gonna add a little bit of condensation in it just to kind of give it that flavor that it needs. Once it's done, I'll be back. All right, friends, so I'm gonna bring the tripod just a little bit closer and push this down. All right, so notice that the cauliflower is not as juicy as one might think it would be coming out of the freezer. It's got a little bit of moisture, but that's good, not a whole bunch, and it's starting to brown. I'm gonna go ahead and add some of my most favorite seasoning in the world, everything bagel seasoning, just to kind of give it a little more nutty flavor. I don't know if you can see, but here is the ground beef and the green onions and the bell peppers. I'm gonna stir this up a little bit, and then I'll add the tomatoes that go in this, the cauliflower rice, and I'm actually waiting on my husband to get home to add in the Worcestershire sauce. So once he comes home, we'll add that in and bake it up just a little bit more, and it'll be pretty well done. As it's finishing up, I'm gonna go ahead and add the cheeses in, which is the Jack cheeses in, and we'll have a stuffed pepper skillet. All right, see you soon. So here are the diced tomatoes that I'm gonna go ahead and drain really well and then add to this casserole here. I'll be adding 2 cans of this to the casserole to cover the double recipe. So as you see, I'm gonna go ahead and mix in the tomatoes, and then I'm going to add in the cauliflower. Now, if this were in a skillet, it would probably look quite different, but I'm trying to be gentle. This is the largest dish that I have, so I'm trying to be gentle and not let it spill over, so that it can kind of bake and meld together. Pretty much everything is cooked that's going in here, so it won't take that long once I get the Worcestershire sauce for it to meld together. So I do have my oven set at 375, so that when I do put it back in, it'll not take much time at all. So now the tomato is pretty much folded in, as good as I can get it. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in the cauliflower. As you see, there's not any juice in the cauliflower. I let it sit for a few minutes after I turned off the heat, and that kind of sucked all the juices out of it. All right. So I'm gonna gently fold this in. And probably make a little mess along the way, but then I'll be back. Okay, everybody. So my husband is back with our Worcestershire sauce. It calls for a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 4 teaspoons worth. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and add it into the oven. Like I said, 375. I'm gonna mix it up just a smidge more. Oops. Can't seem to find my mix. Oh. There it is. Mix it up so it can kind of meld in with the juices. And then right before I fully take it out, I'm gonna go ahead and add the cheese. It called for Jack cheese. I got the Jack blend cheese to go in it. It is, of course, reduced fat. Look how nicely these juices are melding together. This is gonna be a delicious, delicious stuffed pepper. So, I'll see you in just a bit. All right, everybody, as you can see, the casserole is looking mighty nicely. Let me lean in just a little so you can kind of get a better picture of it. So I'm going to go ahead and add, it calls for 2 cups, which this is 2 cups of cheese. So I'm gonna see if I can just stretch it out and get 2 cups in here instead of having to double up the cheese. That'll be a little healthier for us. Okay, just turning that around so I can get more cheese in here. I guess I need to cheese the oven too, huh? All right, it's nice and cheesy on top. I'm gonna go ahead and let it turn off the oven and let it melt for a little bit. Then I'll pull it out and I'll show you the final result. All right, everyone, so here is the final result of our stuffed pepper skillet. Nice and cheesy and looks so delicious.